Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Stormworks. We are back working on our newest project, our Frigate. And in the last episode, we pretty much got most of the lower half of the hull done. We started working on the superstructure a little bit, but we didn't really finish it up. And hey guys, I'm sorry if you hear the noise in the background. There's like construction going on outside, but can't do much about that, sorry. But yeah, in the last episode, we were starting to work on the superstructure. So in this episode, we're going to finish it up. And then towards the second half of it, we're going to play around with some weapons a little bit for fun. And kind of just start talking about what we plan on doing with this ship and what kind of weapons we want, how they're going to work, and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, definitely stick around for that. That'll be fun. We're going to save that towards the later half of the episode. But for now, we're just going to start working on this bridge where we left off. So I got to get this roof filled in, and then we kind of got to figure out the interior space because right now it does not really make all that much sense. But that's all right. We'll figure it out. It's not a big deal. And I definitely want to also get a smokestack or some sort of tower back here behind the bridge, and then we'll finish the back half of the superstructure as well. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of bring this back. This thing is going to have kind of a kind of conventional silhouette, but a goofy shape when we really look at it. I'm going to make it a lot curvier than normal warships just for fun. Stealth isn't really a thing in this game, so I'm not going to worry about it. But with that, I'm just going to take this shape and follow it back, and we're going to kind of try to make these little cutouts like little balconies off of the back of the bridge. So what I was talking about earlier with this being a really weird shape is you can see that the floors in the bridge don't really kind of work together too well. So that's something that is going to be a little tricky to figure out. And that's something that we're going to have to kind of play with as we go along. But that's where we left off in the last episode. I didn't want to get into it. Right now, I'm going to work on bringing these walls all the way back. And then we will add a hangar back here. Again, the overall ship, if you guys didn't see the last episode, the overall ship shape will kind of change quite a bit as we build. As I've played more and more of this game, I'm a lot more comfortable with just cutting ships up and extending them and kind of changing the proportions a lot. But if you're newer to the game, you might not be super comfortable with that. But lately, I've been doing a lot of that just to try to get the proportions exactly how I want them. For now, I am starting to work on that tower that we talked about a little bit earlier. Now, this isn't going to be like a smokestack or anything. It's going to be for a large radar dome or large radar array. Now, it looks pretty low right now. Later on, we're going to raise it by, I think, 2 more meters. So it'll be quite a bit higher up above the top of the bridge. And that'll give the radars a little bit better vision, but it will also kind of separate the spaces a little bit. But this is the kind of shape we're going for right now. I think this is pretty nice. I'm kind of happy with this, honestly. And the rest is us just kind of having to figure out the floor plan because the floor plan is really, really weird. So definitely going to be a little tricky to figure that one out, but that's all right. I'm used to that, and usually I'm pretty good about making use of all of the space that we have anyways. So just gonna kind of clean this up on the inside a little bit, and then we'll move towards the back half of the ship a little bit. But yeah, definitely get some windows back here. I'm not going to mess with the doors too much right now, but we probably will have doors going to those balconies, obviously. But for now, that's kind of what we're working with. Now, I did just cut to a new section of video, so there was a little bit of work done off camera, but not really. And you guys can see I'm going to kind of redo some of it. So what I'm thinking here is we're going to kind of go with this little diamond shape on the walls, and we're going to be able to kind of slope them in a V on both sides. And I think that'll be kind of a nice way to kind of break the ship apart, but also kind of make it flat and dull, but also not boring. You can get... It's pretty easy, especially with warships, to just get these giant monolithic walls with nothing on them. And especially if you're building like a modern warship where they're, a lot more like kind of catered towards missiles and a lot less like guns. Now, I will say this is going to be a lot more kind of a gun heavy hitter kind of ship. So we're going to put a lot of weapons on this thing, and they're not going to be necessarily like cruise missiles or anything like that. So just kind of keep that in mind. This is going to be a modern build, but we're definitely going to stay kind of more towards the manual targeting, all of that kind of good stuff, just because I think it's more fun to play that way. But anyways, we've got this shape. This is kind of the shape I'm going for. The proportions are a little off right now. We're going to have to kind of make it a little bit shorter so we make more room for the hangar. But the hangar back here is going to have to get basically wider. So we're going to have to take this sloped wall on the upper half and kind of fan it out again like we did in the front. So this will come back and it'll get a little wider, and that'll give us a little bit more room in our hangar. But other than that, we're just going to kind of keep the symmetry going from, back to front, and we're going to kind of take this hangar. We're going to bring it all the way to the back of the ship, and then we will just kind of repeat this shape and put a door on it. So like I said, we'll have to kind of shorten this gap in the middle, but in this middle little trapezoid gap, we're going to put a autocannon with a ammo belt feeder. It's going to kind of tuck into the deck. You guys will see a little bit. Like I said, we'll get into playing around with the weapons a little bit later in the episode, so stick around for that. That'll be fun. I have some cool, fun ideas for that. So we'll talk about the weapons a little bit more later on, but for now, like I said, we're just going to copy and paste, make it pretty symmetrical with this hangar, and this should kind of serve us right. Now, I do go back a little bit later, and I end up making this hangar quite a bit taller, and I extend the deck back here by, I think, maybe like a meter or two. But either way, this is where the hangar is going to go. This space is just ultimately a little too small currently for what we plan to do with the hangar, so we're going to have to make it a little bit bigger later on, but just to get it in place and shape it out, and that'll kind of make us kind of understand what this thing's going to look like a lot more when we are building this thing. So I know I'm going to have to change this, but that's all right. I just kind of want to get the shapes in place. But that's all the shipbuilding we're going to do. And right now I'm going to head over into the real world. We're going to slow it down, and we're going to play with the weapons a little bit. So I have my drift tow truck, which is a complete joke creation, and I put a giant target on it. Now, these are the guns I made. Interesting. We're gonna act like that isn't happening. Classic Stormworks. It's not. Yeah, its physics are on high. Okay. Yeah, so I'll have to fix that. But these are the guns that I'm kind of planning, and this is kind of how they work. So I'm using the Penny's SSI one, the same one that I modified for the carrier. Shout out those two. They're really, really awesome creators. But yeah, you guys can see until it starts shaking itself apart, it was pretty accurate, which I know we are pretty close, but I'll kind of dial all these in and fine tune them. But yeah, that's kind of one of the weapons that we plan on putting in that gap we were talking about earlier in the hull. Now, the other weapons I plan on putting in this thing, and I think we talked about this a little bit last episode, but the other weapons I'm going to have a dual heavy artillery cannon in the front is the main gun. That's also going to be hooked up to an auto feeder. And then I am going to have 4 turrets that are hooked up to this screen specifically, and each of those are going to be 2 light auto cannons on them. But the cool thing is 2 of them will also be able to be just manually controlled outside with a handle. I hook up a helmet HUD with a sight. It's pretty cool. I think you guys will like it. And then we're going to go ahead and put 2 machine gun turrets on it too, in the front, kind of where the walkway is, on the jut outs by the bridge. So yeah, we're gonna have a good amount of weapons. I also plan on adding an MLRS, but we'll get into that a little bit later. For now, I originally played around with the idea of having 2 of these turrets on each side, but it's just a lot of moving parts, and it's a lot of space, and our ship isn't, I don't know, I mean, it's a cool idea. More guns are always fun, but it's a little overkill, and it would just kind of make a really big vulnerable spot in the ship. So I originally thought I was going to put 2 in place over here, but we're going to actually just go with 1 on each side. I mean, they're one with double barrels, so it's not the end of the world. I mean, like eight heavy autocannons on each side with the other weapons that we have is a lot of firepower, so I don't really think that we need 8 of these firing at once. It's just a little much, and I already know that this creation is probably going to be laggy, so I decided we'll just switch it back to 1, and that would probably be a better kind of outcome for the ship in the end anyways. So for now, I built these perfectly where they need to be, so I'll just copy and paste them, and we'll play around and see if they kind of work, and they'll play nice with us. But I got to do a little bit of the wiring here first, and then we can spawn it in and kind of play with them. But That's kind of the only weapons we'll get onto the ship today, I believe. But again, later on we'll get into, the main gun, the MLRS, all of the other weapons, and so we'll have a lot of weapons. And with it having like an auto loader system, I'm gonna have the ship also be able to be reloaded by being hooked up. So basically, I'm gonna have doors on each side that open up to ammo belt feeds, and you can basically connect to them with another ship, pump all of the types of ammo that this thing needs for its for its auto loaders into the ship, and we're gonna have a central kind of sealed off blast room filled with all of the ammo. So it'll pump all of that into that room, and then when the guns need to be reloaded, they'll go through the ammo belts into the guns. So that's kind of the plan. I want this thing to be pretty beefy. It might not be, the craziest battleship on the workshop or whatnot, but I definitely want this thing to be pretty tanky. And that's also why we went with the dual artillery cannons instead of battle cannons or anything else, because I had the room and I didn't want to do a triple artillery or triple battle cannon. So I figured a double artillery cannon would be a lot better. And I kind of like the goofy, massive barrels. I think they look a lot better. So that's kind of what we're going with. But right now I'm hooking up just a really, really basic idea of how the belt is going to look. Now, since we go back and redo this right now, I'm just going to kind of connect some ammo to these things for now. I was trying to think about the best way to do this right now, but again, I change a lot of this up. So what ends up happening is we build basically that blast storage that's on the inside of the hull, and it's 11 blocks from any point of the outside walls. So basically it's this room that's walled off on the inside of the ship. It's sealed off completely, and it has all of the ammo drums, all of the artillery rounds, all of that good stuff. It has spare ammo for the 50 cals. It has spare ammo for rifles, SMGs, everything. So that's actually a really cool room. It also gets fire suppression. But basically, in order to hit that, you have to go through a block, and then a block of air, and then a block, and then you have to cover 11 blocks of air, and then through another block, and then you can hit something on the inside. So it's definitely doable, especially if you have something going like really, really fast. But with normal weapons, it's going to be pretty hard to get in there and damage the ammo storage room unless you have, like a Bertha cannon or something crazy like that, or again, a missile that's just going, the speed of light. So definitely, people have definitely made fun cruise missiles like that before. So it's hard to defeat things like that. I'm sure countermeasures aren't even really capable of detecting that kind of thing. But that's not really what I'm planning this going against. I want people to be able to just hop in this thing against like the enemy AI and just absolutely wreck house. So that's kind of the plan. But for now, I'm just, again, still kind of working on trying to get all of these hooked up. I'm labeling all of these ammo drums, and each one's going to get an incendiary and a high explosive. So I think that'll be a good mix of weapons, and that should be able to do a good amount of damage. Now, since these guns slide forward, we will be able to get a pretty good arc with them. I want to say we can go 75 degrees left and right, and then we can go 85 degrees up and 15 down. So should have pretty good coverage. That is one thing I'm pretty happy about, is the weapons that I do make for this ship have really, really good coverage. And you guys will see that a little bit later when we start putting the light autocannon turrets in. The ones that you can manually control are on velocity pivots, so you can spin them completely around and you can go look all the way up. So as an AA turret, there's pretty much nothing that's getting in your way, and I think that's really, really cool. Now, when they're hooked up to kind of like the targeting system and all of that, they have limits, obviously. I think they only go like 85 degrees right, 85 degrees left, and then I think they go 85 up and like 20 down, 30 down, something like that. So they still have like a decent arc, but when you're manually controlling them with the velocity pivots, you can pretty much hit anything in the radius, including your own ship. I wasn't going to put limits on that. Just it's pretty tricky to do with the velocity pivots without adding a bunch of other sensors, and I wanted the guns to be sleek, so I didn't bother. But we're finally almost about done hooking all of this up. So I know, I'm sorry, I'm probably boring you guys, but a lot of this is just microcontrollers that I worked on off camera, and I just need to hook them up. So we're not going to actually kind of aim the guns around and fire them and do all of that kind of goofy stuff right now. I just want to make sure that they actually fit and they can move and they work, and this is a concept that is actually promising. So that is kind of the main concern here. I'm just going to, again, come back, kind of pretty some things up that we might have messed up in the process. I don't know why this doesn't have, interesting. They must not have been symmetrical when I pasted them in. But yeah, that is, I mean, if you guys are still here, that's pretty much most of the building we're going to get done in today's episode. So I know we didn't do as much, but I was kind of trying to take it a little slower and explain a lot of the weapons that we're going to do. And kind of just show you guys some just slowed down footage of me messing around with this stuff. It takes a while to make these things, guys, so stick around. I'm sure this isn't going to be a short series, I mean, most of mine aren't, but yeah, we'll get through it, and I think it's very promising. If you guys have any really cool ideas, let me know. We have some pretty cool stuff already planned for this thing. I plan on doing a couple secret passages, and it's going to have like a really cool state-of-the-art aircon, and all of the rooms are going to have climate control. All that kind of good stuff. So we'll get into it later, but for now, guys, that is pretty much all I have for today. We're just going to test these out, and it looks like my release buttons aren't working, but it looks like these turned correctly and they're not moving forward. So we'll have to come back to these later. It's also got the shakes again, so classic Stormworks. Let's actually try to fix this quick. Just make sure that all of this is hooked up correctly. But yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. I might add these kind of like torpedo tracking darts to the bottom side of the ship, or those kind of seal subs. You guys might have to Google to know what I'm talking about, but basically the wet submersibles, which is basically a sub that you sit in the water in a scuba suit, and you're not outside in a pressurized or inside in a pressurized hull. But I might add something like that. If you guys want to see something like that, definitely let me know sooner than later, also, because the ship's getting done as I'm recording. But anyways, yeah, enough of the rant sesh. We had a good slow episode, and if you guys made it to the end, again, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We got more of these videos to come, and that's all I got for you today. So thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.